Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Coach Marvin. There are people watching me right now who know exactly what they need to do. You know the business you need to start. You know the conversation you need to have. You know the application you need to submit. You know the book you need to write. You know the change you need to make. You know the step you need to take. Your problem is not that you don't know. Your problem is that you're afraid to move. And today, I want to talk about one of the greatest enemies standing between you and your purpose: fear. Welcome to part 5 of why people never reach their purpose. Today, we're talking about the fear factor, when fear keeps you from your future. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle between where you are and where you want to go isn't another person. It isn't your education. It isn't your age. It isn't your background. It isn't your money. Sometimes the biggest obstacle standing between you and your future is fear. Here's something I've learned: people will stay in something that is painful simply because it is familiar. They stay in the wrong career, they stay in the wrong environment, they stay in unhealthy relationships, they'll stay in a financial pattern that isn't even working. They'll stay in routines that are producing nothing. Why? Because although they don't like where they are, at least they know what to expect. The future is different. Purpose requires you to walk into territory you haven't seen before. And that's frightening. You may be saying, what if I try and it doesn't work? What if I start the business and it fails? What if I go back to school and can't finish? What if I launch the ministry and nobody comes? What if I change careers and regret it? But here's the one question I want you to ask yourself: what if it works? What if the opportunity you've been afraid to pursue is connected to the breakthrough you've been praying for? What if the door you've been afraid to knock on is the door God intended for you to open? You cannot allow fear of the unknown to make you a permanent resident of familiar. Fear of failure has buried too many dreams. Some people aren't afraid of starting, they're afraid of failing. They imagine embarrassment before they even start. They imagine rejection before they even ask. They imagine losing before they even enter the game. Some, instead of risking failure, they choose not to try. But listen carefully: not trying doesn't protect you from failure. It guarantees you will never discover what's possible. Failure isn't always the opposite of success. Sometimes failure is part of the process of success. You tried something, you learned something, you adjusted something, you grew, you became wiser, you became stronger, and now you're better prepared for the next opportunity. Some of the most successful people you admire didn't succeed because they never failed. They succeeded because failure didn't get the final word. Stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what can I learn if this doesn't work the first time? That mindset changes everything. Sometimes we're actually afraid of success. This one may surprise you. Some people aren't just afraid of failure, they're afraid of success because success brings responsibility. If the business grows, you'll have to manage it. If the platform expands, more people will see you. If you become successful, expectations may increase. If you step into leadership, decisions will have to be made. If you become financially successful, you'll have to learn how to steward more. So subconsciously, some people sabotage themselves. They procrastinate. They don't finish. They start and stop. They miss opportunities. They constantly tell themselves, I'm getting ready. But there's a difference between preparation and hiding. At some point, you prepared enough. At some point, you've studied enough. At some point, you planted enough. At some point, you prayed about it enough. Eventually, you got to move. Fear of people can steal your purpose. One of the most dangerous fears is the fear of what others think. What will my family say? What will my coworkers say? What if my friends don't understand? What if people laugh at me? What if they criticize me? Here's something you've got to understand. You cannot build your life around the opinion of people who don't have to live with the consequences of your decision. Some people will understand your vision, some won't. Some will support you, some won't. Some will celebrate you, some won't. And that's okay. Everybody wasn't assigned to understand your purpose. Proverbs 29:25 says, the fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. A snare is a trap. When your life becomes controlled by other people or other people's opinion, you're trapped. You stop asking, what am I called to do? And start asking, what will everybody think? That's dangerous because if applause can control you, criticism can stop you. This is where many people misunderstand courage. They think when I'm no longer afraid, I'll move. No, you may never reach a place where you feel absolutely no fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that fear doesn't get to make the decision. You can be nervous and still move. You can be uncertain and still move. You can have questions and still move. You can feel uncomfortable and still move. Sometimes you got to say, I'm afraid, but I'm going anyway. That's courage. Think about what fear has already cost you. How many opportunities did you talk yourself out of? How many ideas never became reality? How many times did you know what you should move, but you waited? How many doors closed because you hesitated too long? I'm not saying this to condemn you. I'm saying it because today can become the day the pattern changes. You cannot change yesterday, but you can make a difference or a different decision today. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Notice what God has given you: power, ability. You have the ability to act. He's giving you love. You don't have to live and be controlled by your insecurity. He's giving you a sound mind. You have the ability to think clearly instead of allowing fear to write imaginary disasters in your head. Stop waiting for confidence, because that's another trap. People say, "I'll do it when I feel more confident." But confidence often doesn't come before action. Confidence comes because of action. You become confident speaking by speaking. You become confident leading by leading. You become confident in business by doing business. You become confident in writing by writing. You become confident in making decisions by making decisions. Your first attempt may not be great. Do it anyway. Your first video may not get many views. Post it anyway. Your first business idea may need adjustment. Launch and learn. Your first presentation may make you nervous. Give it anyway, because every time you take action, you're developing evidence that says, "I can do this." I want to give you something practical. Identify one thing or one thing of fear has been stopping you from doing. Not 10 things, one. Maybe you need to make a phone call, submit an application, register for a class, start exercising, create a budget, launch your website, record your first video, schedule the meeting, start the business. Whatever it is, write it down. Then ask yourself 3 questions. What exactly am I afraid of? Is that fear based on facts or assumption? What is one action I can take within the next 24 hours? Then take the action. Don't wait until next month. Don't wait until everything feels right. Don't wait for everybody to approve. Don't wait for confidence to magically appear. Move. Somewhere on the other side of your future is a version of you in your life you've never experienced. There's another level of confidence, another level of impact, another level of freedom, another level of influence, another level of purpose. But you're not going to think your way into it. At some point, you're going to have to step into it. Fear says, "What if you fail?" Faith says, "What if this is the door?" Fear says, "You're not ready." Purpose says, "You'll grow as you go." Fear says, "Stay where it's comfortable." Your future says, there's more. So here's my challenge to you. Stop allowing fear to negotiate with your future. Your purpose is too important. Your assignment is too valuable. Your future is too significant. You've been standing at the edge long enough. Make the move. Make the call. Submit the application. Write the plan. Start the business. Record the video. Have the conversation. Take the class. Build the vision. Whatever your next move is, do it afraid. Because you may discover that fear looked much larger and bigger from a distance than it did when you actually started to do what your purpose was designed for. This is part 5 of why some people never reach their purpose. The fear factor. When fear keeps you from your future. If this message spoke to you, like the channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the channel with somebody who's been allowing fear to hold them back. And in the comments, I want you to write, fear will not control my life and my future. Remember, your purpose isn't waiting for you to become fearless. Your purpose is waiting for you to become courageous.